Hello everyone, welcome back to Bordering Politics. Today we're breaking down a topic that is foundational to how Canada runs its government. It might appear to be a bit of a head scratcher if you're new to the parliamentary system, and that's why we're breaking it down in detail. So I'm talking about minority governments, these kind of tricky setups where no single party holds the reins with a clear majority. This is more of an educational video. It's more just for understanding like past, present, and future of Canadian politics. So grab a snack, grab a coffee, something like that, and let's unpack this minority government setup step by step over the next few minutes. So first off, let's define what a minority government is. In Canada's parliamentary system, the House of Commons, it has 343 seats, and a majority government needs at least 172 seats to call the shots outright. So a minority government happens when the party with the most seats, let's say it's 150, they fall short of that 172 figure. So they can still form government if they win the confidence of the House, usually on that, critical first vote, budget vote after the election, but they're always one step away, from losing power. So this isn't about equal representation across parties. It's about one party leading with less than half the seats and relying on the others to stay afloat. So how do these governments actually form? It's a bit of a political dance. After an election, the Governor General invites the party with the most seats to try governing. If they can't hit 172 seats, they need backup. One route is like a formal coalition where another party joins them basically in a team. They pool seats to secure a majority. More often, it's an informal agreement where smaller parties just provide support. They prop up the government in exchange for policy wins, like without officially merging. And the key is passing a confidence vote, typically on the speech from the throne or the first budget after the election. If they lose that, it's back to the polls. And the process hinges on negotiation, not domination, but negotiation sets the stage for more of an interesting parliamentary dynamic. So we can look at history, to see this in action. One big example that guaranteed will be famous in history is the 2021 Liberal minority government under Justin Trudeau. After the September election, the Liberals won 160 seats, so they were short of that 172 figure. The Conservatives had 119, NDP 25, Bloc 32. And Trudeau stayed in power by leaning on the NDP. They had a supply and confidence deal by March 2022, where the NDP backed key votes in return for pharmacare, dental care, that sort of thing. This echoed the 2019 Liberal minority. They had 157 seats. They survived until the 2021 snap election. And if you go back even further, 2004, you have Paul Martin's Liberals. They had 135 seats. They were relying on the Bloc and NDP to provide support. These cases show minority governments, they can last, but they're extremely fragile. They often dissolve when alliances crack, like in 2005 when Martin lost on a budget vote, which is a pretty big deal. It's enough to dissolve the government. So how does this impact policy? The pace of policy development slows to a crawl with a minority. So without a majority, every bill needs cross-party buy-in. It turns legislation into a bargaining game. It's really good in some ways. It ensures no party is getting steamrolled, that a larger variance of perspectives and ideas, viewpoints that are being represented in policy that does pass. The 2021 Liberal NDP deal pushed through the $10 a day childcare program, trade deals like the USMCA renewal in this is 2026, still under negotiation. It's dragging on now though, because, parties demand concessions like labor protections. It stalls progress. So you can contrast this with majority governments where they rammed NAFTA through in 1988 or GST in 1991. And like slower doesn't mean stalled. Minority governments, they're still going to pass bills. They're passing legislation. But it forces a lot of compromise. So for Canadians, this means policies reflect broader input. For those watching in the United States, it complicates cross-border deals because why Canada's government can't move as quickly and decisively as a unified United States Congress could. So we can compare that to the United States system where a gridlock's a different beast. The US has a presidential setup with fixed term president and a Congress split into House and Senate, each with its own elections. A party can control the White House, but not Congress. So you can think about Biden's 2021 to 2023 term with a slim House majority lost in 2022, leading to standoffs like the 2013 government shutdown over the debt ceilings. Canada's minorities shift power daily via confidence votes, dissolving government if confidence is lost, while the US gridlocks can last for a lot longer. They're only being resolved by elections or really rare deals. The US passed a $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan in 2021 with Democratic control, but Canada's 2021 minority took months to agree on a $100 billion COVID relief package. It needed NDP tweaks. So both systems can frustrate, but Canada's minority setup risks collapse, and the United States gridlock just digs in. The upside is that minority governments can innovate. The 1963 Pearson government with 129 seats, they introduced Medicare, the Canada Pension Plan, a lot of NDP ideas. The 2021 deals, the childcare plan, that shows the same thing. Policies that would have died otherwise, without a majority, they actually get a shot. But the downside is also very present. So instability looms large. Like 4 of Canada's last 13 governments were minorities. They don't last the full terms usually. They last an average of 1.8 years. So this can paralyze long-term planning, like, climate policy, where 2023 wildfire costs hit $3.1 billion annually. But minority squabbles, delay this kind of funding. For the US, this means a less predictable trade partner. A good example is the 2025 USMCA talks, where Justin Trudeau struggled to commit amid opposition pressure. Digging even deeper, the system's roots trace to Canada's 1867 Confederation. It's designed to balance regional powers in a diverse nation. It's less like the United States federalist checks. Canada's parliamentary model centralizes authority, but demands consensus in minorities. So it's reflecting the multicultural makeup. The 1921 King government with 116 seats governed through Depression-era coalitions, which showed a lot of resilience. Today, with polarization rising, 2021 saw a 7% vote swing from 2019. Minorities, they may become more common, they might force more compromise, but they're gonna raise gridlock if parties continue to dig in. The Bloc's 32 seats in 2021 focused on Quebec. They often hold power, mirroring how US senators from small states like Wyoming, they can block bills. So what is the real takeaway here? Basically, minority governments are Canada's balancing act. They're very messy, they're very slow, but they're capable when alliances are formed and when they hold. You can contrast that with the United States gridlock, where fixed terms lock in fights. For Canadians, it's a trade-off, broader input versus instability. For Americans, it's a wild card in trade and security, since a shaky Canadian government might lean harder on US support. So the system's definitely not perfect. It's a window into how Canada governs very differently. So what are your thoughts? I'd love to see them in the comments. Do you think Canada's minority setup strengthens democracy or just creates chaos and slows things down? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. I also want to mention, if you're new here, new to the channel, subscribe if you haven't yet, and it really helps grow the channel. I'll catch you in the next video, and thanks for watching.